Okay, in this video, we will take what you have learned about setting up your local environment and interpreting the protobufs, and we will look in more detail about prior example scripts that have been done. I'm not too familiar with all of them, so I will just focus on token create, token associate, and token delete, although you could always take a look at any of the other ones as well. All of these are publicly viewable. So I've clicked inside token associate, and then inside here you see that the script of how token associate was done. So for me, this was a little bit difficult because I wouldn't necessarily, I guess, code in this particular style. This is a very clean way of coding, nice way of coding, but my initial instincts were to go about it in a different way. So one of the things to, in my opinion, I think you could probably do it your way as well if you wanted. I personally decided, okay, I'm just going to try and keep to sort of a similar format to make it as easy as possible for somebody to seamlessly work between the different transactions and reach kind of like a good level of understanding. So I was really trying to understand what Nadine had done and like her approach to going through this, and was hoping to learn as much from it as possible and be able to kind of continue that sort of way of interacting in Python. So first of all, she loads the requirements to be able to run her code. A lot of the transactions will have similar setups, I think. So if you see here, it's very similar for token delete, and it's very similar for token create. I actually think that this one's no longer necessary. Maybe that one needs to be updated. But where they differ is that they'll probably need to pull different transactions. So token associate is going to have to pull the transaction class, token associate transaction. This one's the delete one, and this one's the token create. Although there might be some other kind of differences in that too, which I probably won't go more into. That will just be whatever the protobuf requires you to do. Also, this is a very, it's I think deliberately kept to be a simple example. So these are not kind of long scripts or anything like that. It's just getting to like the key message. This is sort of like how to do this kind of this associate transaction operation, but you're not really handling any major other part of it. So this token associate is going to pull all these kind of variables and aspects. So account, private key, token ID, all this kind of thing. It's going to assume that you've got that in your files, in your M files elsewhere, or so on. It's going to assume that you're going to use testnet. These might not be how you're going to do it in practice, but I think it's like fair enough to just keep the examples like this. And then, as we discussed, sort of like in the transaction itself, this is token associate, so you're going to need an account to associate to, and you need the token that you want to associate to that. There is some freedom, I think, with the vocab that you use. So recipient ID, maybe you could use I don't know, user ID or even account ID, but yeah, I think these things are not too important to worry too much about. And then, as we discussed in the protobuf for the associate, which I have deleted, it also told you that you need to sign with the recipient key. So it's nice actually that she's labeled it as recipient, because you can see it's the same, it's the key of that same recipient, so the same person that's receiving the token associated needs to sign that. Okay, and then so you get all the fields that are important into that. You get all the you pull all the values that you need into this, and then ultimately it'll be successful or it won't, and you're going to get the error message coming through that. This is just making sure it can be called yeah, when you want. So that's token associate, 40 lines of code. Let's look at another example, token delete. You can see a similar sort of setup, this time using the token delete. Client account ID, private key, that's the same. Network token ID, these are the same. So this is mostly the same, aside from this token delete class. And it's still going to do the same kind of thing. So you need to use testnet, you pull the values that you kind of need from the M file in this example. And then the transaction itself is going to be the token that you want to delete. This token delete transaction isn't like a account sort of transaction. It's a like a, I don't know how to describe it, like the administrator of the token is choosing to delete the entire token. So this will affect all the users. In this case, there isn't a particular account ID who wants to delete their tokens. This is actually a transaction where the token will be deleted in the whole network. So that's why you're going to be signing with the admin key. And the protobuf should make that clear. And then you also need to sign with the operator in this case, who is paying the fees involved with that. And it's going to be successful or not. So it's again very, very sort of similar approach. Token create, very similar. I think this is all the same. This one's kind of got interesting here. It differs with token create. And then you have this new kind of serialization thing going on there, and you don't have the token ID. I think that makes sense because you're going to, you'll see in a moment. Anyway, so you will be pulling the fields that you need. And then in terms of the token create transaction, you're just filling in the elements that you need for that particular transaction and the signing needed for that transaction. If we look at the protobuf for token create, I expect it will say that you need an operator and an admin key to sign it. So that's what's going on there. You need to make sure that it can't be edited before the signing. And then these are the fields that you need to add in for the token create. So here I think that they are creating a fungible token, which is I think something to discuss. It's just that there's an example file. So I think you could always create a token, an NFT token example if you wanted, but this is just creating a fungible token example. So you've got my token, the symbol of it. The decimals is not super intuitive how to explain that, but it's just the number of like how small the values can go. Initial supply, all these kinds of things. So yeah, so it's very, very similar, but it's got more fields than the token delete or the token associate. That means this one might have a little bit more complex logic, making sure that all the requirements pull together, but it's very similar. After that, we're just going to push it and then see whether it's failed or whether it has passed. Okay, so I think that's roughly with the creation. So in summary, if you were creating a token, example, you probably want to be importing something similar to this. And then you need to make sure you're getting all the information that you need, the values that you need to be able to create your actual transaction. And then make sure when you do the transaction, you are putting all the values that are required for that transaction or relevant for the particular transaction, whether you want to create a fungible transaction as the example or an NFT. You need to make sure it aligns with the signing requirements in the protobuf, as it says. And that's mostly it. I think there is some some freedom here with like how to show an example, and it's just ultimately quite a basic example, but it's a functional example. Okay, in the next video we will look at the classes and how to get started with those.